battlefield. Yet, none could match him. And so he wandered the earth, becoming lost in time and tide. Then we too lost our honest purpose, while silk-clad men sat upon the throne. But tremble now, all cities that lay under the stars, for out of the shadows and mists of the land of promise, our courage has been rekindled. Our heart has returned, and the world will burn.
Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Longbox. I swear, every week I'm always amazed. Where are we going to be? Are we going to be in this corner? Are we going to be in that corner? I don't know what's going on. And welcome
to Comic Book Team Up.
Yeah, welcome to Comic Book Team Up. Yeah, I got distracted by everything. I'm easily distracted. Well, I'm distracted because literally at 9 o'clock on the dot, we were a minute too late. I got a call from Phil Diaz. He does the Lost Pages and the wonderful comic, The Man with No Strings. He's printing my comic, and he just FaceTimed me my proof. And he goes, here you go. It's hot off the press. Here you go. Here's your comic book. He flipped through it. He says, it's going in the mail tomorrow. So, oh, my God. So, and then I was like, oh, I couldn't talk to him all night long. And I was like, yeah, I'm about to stream with RJ. So, good news for me. I'm giddy. You got to admit, it's so cool to see your comic book, right? That it exists.
Yeah. I'm getting writing my 5 pages for the Crisis there, John. I'm thinking of, because I got to put everything in 5 pages, and I'm trying to whittle it down. And it's so fun. Right. Again, restrictions are the best thing in the world, because I should create a new character now.
Less is more. So I originally said 3 pages. So let's start at the beginning. So I came up with the concept called the Crisis on Independent Earths, and it was kind of a joke. They're like, oh, what, and then I was like, wait a minute, that's too good of a title to go away. And I pitched it. So I wrote a grand story. I have like a 6-page opener, and I have I think a 6-page closer. And in between, everybody else is going to submit 3 to 5 pages of their world, their character. So all universes are in danger. If you don't participate, your universe is going to be destroyed. I'm sorry, Marvel. I'm sorry, DC, but your comic book worlds are going to be destroyed. You're welcome to join in and save them, but only people who are in this book, their universe is going to be saved. And I wrote it in such a way that nobody's worlds get contaminated by anybody else's. So it's not really a team up, because nobody really sees each other, and it's not a multiverse, because it's not 14 versions of Thomas Valiant doing stuff or the Patriarch doing stuff. It is your unique universe, and then I don't want to give it away, but I also wrote it because 35 people have said they're participating. Now, I'm not naive. I know 35 people saying yes doesn't mean 35 complete, projects. So people could drop off and it's not going to change anything. You'll see when you read it. But we got a lot of cool people. RJ, did you talk to Aaron Sparrow?
No, I haven't. I haven't talked to anybody yet. I haven't been keeping up in the group chat either.
Because
So
Aaron Sparrow is he in the group chat. Aaron Sparrow, for those of you who don't know, he has a great comic called Kneel Before Doomface. He wrote Darkwing Duck for a while. He's a professional editor, professional writer, worked with TV and comic books. He just jumped on and said, John, will you have me as a helper and an editor? I said, absolutely. So we got all the experience we need. I started a group chat. Everybody's helping out. But he wants to write a little vignette because he thinks it would be funny since we all have Renzo as our artist, where Thomas Valiant, the Patriarch, and Doomface all meet. So I don't know if he told you about that yet. So we assume Thomas Valiant's going to be in the intersect. But anyway, subject to your approval. So I've been asking people to send me their pitches because everybody's been using the same pitch. So me and Aaron have been making sure that everybody's a little different. Everybody's doing something unique to their world, and everybody gets the gist. These are the rules to participate in a Crisis of Independent Earths. No fighting, no ego, no fighting, no drama. The drama is about the comic book. The second is work within the rules in the spirit of the story. Don't try to break the story and stuff like that. A couple of people are just so edgy and clever that they just want to ruin everything. And third is just submit your papers, all pages, complete pages. So each creator is paying for producing whatever their 3 pages, and we're gonna have like 100-page book that everybody owns, that everybody can sell. So I had to tell tales out of school. One of the contributors, a guy who has no books out, nothing, just started. First question is, how do I get paid? I was like, how much money have you made on your own comic book already? This is advertising. You know what I mean? Think of this as a catalog. I'm out. I'm like, okay, cool. So I don't know what else to tell this guy. It's just funny. He has absolutely not one page of comic books out. His first question is, how do I get paid? Make your own comic book, make it really good. So anyway, that's that. And we got Aaron Sparrow, we got Chuck Dixon. Chuck Dixon's going to do My Sister Suprema with Mark Katkus, and Chuck Dixon is going to do Airboy and Valkyrie with Joe Bennett. So Airboy is going to be in that comic. RJ, how's that?
I was telling somebody, a comic book reader that I know and just met fairly recently, that we were doing this project and Chuck Dixon was going to have pages in it. So she was very excited that there was going to be my work in the same book as Chuck Dixon's. I tell you so much.
We're double chucked. Chuck is submitting 2 stories. Phil Diaz is going to do 3 different, because he has 3 different universes. I'm trying to think. Josh Howard, who he's famous for Dead at 17, but he's going to do T-Bird and Throttle. Brian Bao is going to do Wolf and Betsy. Fabrizio Aiello is doing Horace H. Hoover. Yang Yao is he does D&D stuff, but he's going to do his first comic book work and put it in. We got so many people. Mark Polton's going to do U.S. Assassin. And there's a professional wrestler, Hurricane. What's his name? Hurricane Helms. He expressed interest and he reached out to me. He goes, I'm a superhero. And I was like, geez, a guy from WWE? So he's going to talk to the WWE and see if he's legally allowed to put his likeness in a comic book. And we already have people chomping at the bit to be his writer and artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
It's a weird combination of things, but there is a weird intersection of comic book readers and people who love wrestling. I don't know what it is. I really don't, but there is a weird intersection of that.
Yeah, well, it's the closest you're going to get to comic books, right?
True enough.
Costumes and fighting and storytelling. So I'm just going to go down the comment section. I'm sorry, I posted at 7:00, But then RJ was like, I can't do 7. So this was just a miscommunication between the both of us. So we're starting at 9. Vaz, Rex Blazer. By the way, RJ, the latest Saturday sermon hit close to home for me. It's funny. I got everybody calling it the sermon now. I know what it's like to try and help someone who's more comfortable with chaos. All kidding aside, that it's funny because I say this a lot, but you do this. That was one of your best videos.
I barely got any views on it.
Really?
Not even 2,000. Didn't even crack 2,000. But I had to put it out there. I had to put it out there.
But it explains a lot of my ex-girlfriends. And you get Crom the Destroyer. I've been seeing the pages. Oh my God, they're so good. RJ is if I could speak for RJ, he's right here, and I speak for everybody because I never shut up. They're so good. They're so good. My Christmas special, I just showed. I'm going to show you the proof when I'm done showing this. But Phil Diaz has the proof on him. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm from a dysfunctional family, so I really liked your video. I sent it to some of them.
Thank you very much.
Thanksgiving over RJ. We are having a blessed day. I mean, yes, just lost the internet, back in time. Or not. A lot of new names. Leon Voss. Oh, you got yourself your
TM Bailey, you're here again. Look at that. Thank you very much for the super chat, TM. Why would a progressive write a story where the heroine casts a spell that kills countless innocents across a multiverse? This is how Disney's Star Butterfly versus the Forces of Evil finale ended. I'm not making this up. Well, I don't even know what this show is or if it's a movie, Bailey, but my guess is this. I did a video probably 6 months ago talking about basically we'll say, here's a preview of a video that I'm going to do sometime in the near future or start discussing it. Quite honestly, I think that liberalism itself is just a Christian heresy. And it pulls on so many of these other old Christian heresies. And one of them is like a Gnosticism that you get from, say 400s AD and stuff like that. So there is the idea of like, I think progressivism is this kind of Gnosticism. And again, I go through it in one of those videos and they talk about the demiurge and things like that. So in that basic religion, which is a cult and a heresy of Christianity, they basically think that God basically got separated into pieces, and that went out throughout the universe, and those pieces are what we are made of as human beings, and they have to bring all these pieces back together. So the point is that at the end of time, at the utopia wherein they want to build, all these pieces get brought back together in order to make God whole again. But what then happens to the human race? Well, the human race gets destroyed because all these pieces have to go back into the whole, and there's no more human beings anymore. And this is where I think that the climate cult comes from, where they want to, it's better if human beings don't exist, and we'll promote things where there are good things happening for animals, but human beings get wiped out. So they don't care about human life. So it's not something that is a priority to them to destroy human life, even on a mass scale, even completely, is something acceptable within, let's say, the origin points of progressivism as a intellectual ideology. And so it has many different ways that it's expressed, Bailey, but I would bring it back to that. And again, I did a video about it probably about 6 months ago. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I talked about Gnosticism a bunch. And so if you want to go back to that video, it would probably answer your question a little bit more about the fact that, these people are in a death cult. And from when I say that, a lot of people understand. Progressives are in a death cult. They worship death. They want, old people, especially in the country I am right now, old people and the mentally soft to get wiped away, and just they pull the plug on them. The youngest of the young, they want them wiped out, and they don't want to replace people with new births. They're in a death cult. There's a really good book. I recommend every once in a while. It's The Architects of the Culture of Death, where you get two Thomistic philosophers, and they go through most of culture and pop culture, and especially these kinds of culty ideas for the last about 500 years. They do a chapter on one, or they do one each chapter, and they talk about, it's a fairly big book, but they talk about this culture of death and this death cult. So it's a really good book. I think it's Ignatius Press if you want to look it up. So that would be my answer to that. Hopefully, thank you very much for the super chat.
I want to add to this. I've been saying this for years, and I've yet to be proven wrong. The left always sides with the higher body count, and I came to that conclusion in my late 20s. Look at every decision in history and politics. The left always chooses the side with the higher body count. And just today, I saw something talking about this Massachusetts that they're going to legalize abortion up to the moment of birth. And a priest, a Roman Catholic priest, said, he goes, abortion is a satanic mockery of the Eucharist. That's why they say, this is my body. And I got to say, I can't wait for my wife to come home from her church group so I could discuss this with her. But like, it actually gave me chills when I read that, you know. And I do believe it's human sacrifice. You know, maybe it's not too symbolic, but maybe it is. But at the very least, it's sacrifice to yourself, which is what leftism is all about. You know, it's about hedonism. It's about, you know, it's Stevie Nicks. She had that abortion for that kid. She was already a multimillionaire, but it was inconvenient, you know, and apparently it still taunts her to this day. I mean,
it's like what is her name? I think it was Michelle Williams that got the Oscar for like Brokeback Mountain or something like that, standing there with a golden idol in her hand, and up on the stage saying, "I could not have gotten this without having an abortion." And
right,
being able to, and it's like, oh, really? So that was your sacrifice for this golden
right,
idol
so,
you have in your hand, right?
Right. So the grain, we wouldn't have had the grain if we didn't throw our baby into, you know what I mean? It's so different. Don't these people see? We got Meme Lord Woodrow, who's also contributing to the Crisis on Independent Earths. I read his. Oh, that's yeah. RJ, send your script in when you're done writing it, so we can get it approved. Because would hate, you know, don't start doing art and stuff like that until the script.
Oh no. I'm trying to. I got the ending done and I got the beginning done, but I want to connect them two together exactly right. There's one page I gotta tweak with, but you know, I want to get it a little better shape than it is right now.
Vaz says, will there only be one? I assume you're talking about the Crisis in Independent. No. This is, we all get together, we solve a problem, then we all go back. Like I said, it is designed in a way so that my ideas don't contaminate anybody else's world, your world. So really, if RJ was to back out, it wouldn't change anything. You know what I mean? Because the ending is already pre-written, you know? So I'm just holding off doing the art for the ending because there's a couple of things that need to be tweaked depending upon who's participating. But everybody comes in, we solve a problem, everybody goes back. There's no like one of the guys had all of his characters getting killed. I said, that's going to confuse people when they buy your comic and your characters are all dead. He goes, oh, things don't get reset. So I hate those push the button reset button. There's no reset. I said, your characters could choose to remember this if you want to. Like Horace H. Hoover is going to use this as a plot point. This is actually going to be a big part in Tonic Bowl saving the world comic book. And parts of this are going to be a big deal in a future issue of my comic. But you don't have to. You don't have to. You know, that's, if I can pat myself on the back, I tried to write as minimally invasive story to anybody else's stuff. You know, and it's not a multiverse. It's not really a crossover. It's a Crisis on Independent Earth. And I'm being cagey on purpose. I don't want to spoil. Glad to hear that Chuck's working with Airboy again. I know. And what I think is so funny is he goes, is it okay if Joe Bennett and I do an Airboy story? I was like, of course.
Is it okay?
And to me, that's, if I may get emotional for a second, Airboy was the first Chuck Dixon comic I ever bought, you know, and I've been a fan since Airboy #1. So this is kind of like, wow, it's like it means a little bit more. I reached out to Mike Barron. He politely said he was too busy, which basically means no. But maybe now that it's getting pretty big, and it's open to anybody. I literally say it's open to anybody. You follow the rules. If the only thing that would stop you from being in the print book is if your art is just really bad, because by the time you're doing the art, I approved your script. If the art is just egregiously bad, you'll be in the digital version, and because we're trying to show off how cool it is, and we have to limit the book to certain pages. The goal is to make a big hardcover book, and with a wraparound cover with all of our characters. You know what I mean? Like sooner or later, I'll be asking everybody to send me a good picture of your characters. We'll have Renzo, poor Renzo, drawing everybody's character. Poor Oscar's going to be coloring everybody's character. You know what I mean? We'll make like a stretch goal poster. So I'll go through all the before I start talking about this. Yep, Zayd over here has been printing. He just put a picture of my proof. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I can't wait. Thank you, Phil. This guy gets crap done. He's a go-getter. We're gonna be working for him someday, RJ. Me and you. We're gonna be like, yes, Phil. What do you want us to do, boss? Wrestlers are real like comic book characters. Yep, absolutely. Alex, how you doing? Unicorn, weird intersection, a colorful, flamboyant character making grandiose speeches and having long sleeve. Yeah, comic books. My friend Mike is a big wrestling fan, and he explained why he likes both. And I can't argue with him. He's absolutely. I think mine fell into the low effort category. Progressivism, basically a death cult. What an interesting conversation. We're talking about comic books and progressive. I just finished new ones, but can't go. Wait. Oh, cool. Yeah. Jewel, in a way, all evil is a Christian heresy. Progressive is all kinds of crazy. Rex, are you the author of the novel? Someone, okay. Someone was saying that the communists does not see anything good and beautiful what they don't want. Yeah, same with Islam. I just read that they tried to destroy the pyramids and gave up because the pyramids were just too tough to destroy. But they knocked down those statues in Afghanistan. They're burning down all the churches. That's why progressives can't create heroic stories. They don't believe in the divinity. Yeah. And that's also why they don't believe that Captain America is Steve Rogers, because the individual doesn't matter. It's the mantle. It's the concept. It could just apply to anybody because everybody's equal. I think you made me realize that, RJ. Okay, insert a cop. Which made me think there are at least two types: the bitter cynical who want revenge, and the idealist who hates anything in the way of utopia. First Chuck Dixon I ever read was Jungle Comics. It was terrible. The second was Alpha Core. It was okay. Jungle Comics. I don't know if I remember Jungle Comics. I started my first page for Levi hit. Levi, he submitted one that I dare say it was touching. And I don't want to spoil it, but I really liked it. I really liked it. We had to tweak a little bit, but that's everybody we had to tweak because either I'm not making myself clear or what. But nobody got it on the first shot. Yeah. So that I just thought it was, I really liked his. Galaxy Memorial Park is his comics. I really liked Alpha Core myself. My first Chick Dixon book was Mark Spector, Moon Knight. Yeah, ooh. That's funny. That's one of the only ones that I missed. That came out in the 90s when I was super broke, and I didn't read it. I was in college when that came out, and I missed it. All right, so we're all caught up. We're all caught up with the chat. Studying progressives and realize that human pettiness knows no bounds. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. The biggest lie is like, I would never. The Nazis would never come. We all know that the average person will do what authority tells them to do. We all think we're going to be that one guy standing up, not saluting Hitler. No, the average person is going to be, pushing you into off the cliff with a smile on his face, thinking he's the good guy. That's the scary part.
Okay, so quick question here. Just I have and I bought off the shelf the Mark Spector Moon Knight. If it's the 90s edition, who was the artist for that? Because it was Bill Sienkiewicz, which is the artist for the original Moon Knight series from the 70s,
I don't
correct?
know who the artist was because I like I said, I missed that series.
Oh, I'm trying to think of it. I can't off the top of my head. It's gonna bug me until I look it up now.
Yeah, I wish I knew who it was. I don't know. I'm trying to find this picture of the proof. Oh, here it is. Okay. So just proof of the proof. I'll bring this up because I literally saw this seconds before we went live. So there you go. Phil just printed that up. So he's gonna mail that to me, and I'm gonna hold on to it like a crazy person for an hour and a half, and then I'll be like, okay, Phil, print them up. And my campaign is still going, So I don't know. I'm a crazy person. I try to get everything done before, and I learned from my mistakes, and there's that. I don't want to. It jumped. I searched for Harrison Bergeron on Tumblr. I saw people there didn't like it. Oh yeah, of course they don't. Of course, everybody in this chat, do your homework and read Harrison Bergeron. It's only like 6 or 7 pages by Kurt Vonnegut. Progressives could write heroic stories. They made a bunch in the 70s, 2000s. They were mostly subversive, switching everyone slowly into paper ground. Now the stories are destroying the paper.
Funny thing, Jewel, I find if you go back and look at progressive people who, you can tell are progressive from today, but you go back to people that I really enjoy doing stories like John Carpenter, right? Like I love John Carpenter movies, but he was very trying to be subversive, trying to be presenting a progressive universe, if not hero, but no one ever took it that way. People think of Snake Plissken as the hero. People think of Jack Burton as the hero, and he wrote them not to be the hero specifically. See, this is why I haven't done a video on this for a while, but this is why I think that you have the quote unquote progressive people, especially in the early 2000s, 2010s, just throwing every other old storytelling idea out the window because everything was so subtle for the 70s up until the 2000s that people could take it the way that they wanted to, and so they took again Jack Burton as the hero. So now they just hit you over the head with it because being subtle didn't work for them. It never got to the destruction that they wanted of the heroic ideal. So that's one of my little
well look at RJ's favorite writer, Alan Moore. Rorschach. People love Rorschach in The Watchmen. He's my favorite character. He's the only hero, and he was supposed to, be like a goof. I deep down think that Alan Moore really didn't intend that people were going to despise Rorschach. I think he's just a contrarian that will say stuff like that. But he's the only one who stood by his principles. You know what I mean? So how could you not resonate with them? Plus he was the most interesting character next to Dr. Manhattan. Did you get the recording I sent you? You sent me a recording? Send it again. I don't think I got it. And if you send anything this week, I literally, since I posted about this Crisis Independent Earths, I've been answering emails. I've been staying up all night. I've been talking to people on the phone. So Rex, if you sent me something and I forgot about it, don't take it personal. I've been like Mr. Editor-in-Chief all week. I didn't remember it was written by Chuck Dixon. Yeah, it was. They focused on only one of his identities. They focused more on him being a mercenary because Mark Spector was a mercenary beforehand, and so it emphasized the military. And I always wanted to get it, but it came out from like 95 to 2000, if I remember correctly, and that's when I was in college, and I was just a broke college kid, stereotype. So I need to go pick them up and read them because I do love Moon Knight. He wrote the first 2 years of the series and then issue 32. Yes, progressives make bad guys, but people like the Rorschach from The Watchmen. Liberals view it differently. Yeah, absolutely. We like underdogs because we like seeing triumph in the face of the adversary. They like underdogs because they like seeing greatness fail. Ooh, that's pretty poignant. Recordings, the DMs on X for both. Okay, yeah, send it again. Send it again. It's been a really long time since I read it. I remember liking it. Liking what? Harrison Bergeron or The Watchmen?
I think he means Mark Spector, Moon Knight.
Oh, Mark Spector, Moon Knight. Yeah. Okay. Think of all the jerk football players in Chile as all subversive, not appeal to the disinjectors, the bidders. Okay, Rex, thanks. You just sent it again. I'll check it out when I'm not live. I was just about to tell a personal story, but I realized it's my wife's story and I can't tell it. But like, there's some in her church. There's some gossip going on, and it's going to cause more problems. And but that's not for me to tell. Magnamoose has a Marvel lore question. Well, come on in. Which lob it. We'll get us off this really deep stuff and talk about nerd stuff. What's your question? So RJ, I got to ask: is Thomas Valiant going to be participating in the Crisis?
Yes. I whittled it down to 3 characters. Only the second one I've been playing around with, but as far as I know, definitely Thomas Valiant and definitely Major Mystery.
Oh,
so,
cool. So, is Thor's strength solely from his Asgardian physiology, or is it enhanced by his Thor power?
It's enhanced by, well, he does have magical items that he regularly uses. He has a belt which enhances his strength. He also has gauntlets which he doesn't particularly use that often. And there's something else as well. If you go through the actual mythology, you find that yes, his strength is enhanced by these magical items.
But Thor, as far as I know, he is just is his natural strength. The hammer doesn't make him stronger or anything like that. He is Thor, which is why I think it's so stupid that you could transfer his power to Jane Foster or stuff like that, because he is Thor. He was born like that. You could say he was a mutant, but if I remember the Marvels, who's who, all Asgardians are super strong and super dense and super tough, but Thor is the most. And then when he gets the Odin Force, he's even more.
Mammoth, if you want to, like I always say, go back and read. You want a good summary of it in story form. Go back and read the Walter Simonson run of Thor, because after the Hell curse, she basically puts on a curse on Thor where he can't heal himself. His body just can't heal, and so he begins to use more and more of these magical items, like his armor and his gauntlets and all that, like that, in order to shore up his strength, because it starts to fail. Because I think the curse is he gets to be as what is it? His constitution is that of an elderly woman, but it's elderly Asgardian woman, so it's still stronger than a human being. But that's a good one for story form if you want to get into that.
Yeah, in Norse mythology, Thor is the son of Odin, the sky, and Jord, the earth, and that's why he's lightning. That's why lightning comes from the sky to the ground. That's what the Norsemen saw, and they imagined the lightning was, the spawn of the sky and the earth. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. Yeah, I love when they explain mythology. I just lost my train of thought again. So what else do we want to talk about? Do we have any topics? Do you guys want to ask questions about this Crisis on Infinite Earths? Independent Earths, that is legally distinct from the Infinite Earths. Yeah, I could go down a list of all these people that are participating. I was going to bring this up. I am terrified of the fighting starting once money is involved. Like I said, I had one guy, his first question was, well, how do I get paid? It's like, dude, you want to get paid? I'm asking you to contribute 3 pages, and your first question is, how do I get paid? Like there's 35 people, and not one of them have asked that. So he's out and goodbye. But I'm putting 11 pages in, then 3 pages of my own starts. That's 14 pages, paying for the pre-press, and all that. So I was thinking of maybe I asked everybody in the group chat. They seem to be into it. Maybe I'll do a crowdfund, and all participators, I will make an invisible secret tier where they could buy the book at cost. You know what I mean? So that way we could get one mass printing and get it as cheap as possible. Because they were saying if I print it up on my own and you print it up, it's going to be more expensive. So I was thinking maybe go to Critical Blast, get it all printed up all at once. And then like RJ, you order 10 copies, you're just going to pay printing cost. All contributors pay just printing cost, and then backers, whatever. And then like maybe a a stretch goal poster. And RJ, I don't know if I told you this, we're also thinking of a companion, Who's Who. So like, like we'll do like DC, the Who's Who, or the Marvel Universe. You picture of Thomas Valiant, then you do a little kind of like you did with the back of your cards.
Right.
And I forget who it is. I think it's Woodrow who's in this chat right now. He's already making a template of like promo posters of like your character and the creators and stuff like that, kind of making it look like Artist Alley, from a comic convention. There's so much talent involved in this. Now, what I lack in talent, I make up for in enthusiasm, and I'm stubborn, and so that's what I'm offering. And then we got Aaron Sparrow, who's like basically, I guess, the second command or whatever, and he's got the experience. He's already talking about the logistics of what we need to do, and coming up with some cool ideas. And then everybody is just, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. So I'm like I said, if you see the movie The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, the two best friends, and all of a sudden they find the treasure and they start killing each other. That's what I'm afraid of, is fighting. Like, my big fear is I do a crowd fund to recoup, because I'm going to pay for pre-press, I'm going to pay for, for the cover and whatever. And then all of a sudden it does really, really well. And then everybody's like, so I was just thinking, like, if we make too much money, reimburse people by how many pages they contributed. It's really the only fair thing to do. But we'll see. Yes, the love of money is the root of all evil. Not money. The love of money is the root of all evil. Even the Bible recognizes you need money. Did you say that those who appear in the physical copy will appear in the... I said everybody who participates will be in the digital version. If there's two reasons why you might not be in the print version. Is we just have too much, and then when we get to too much, I'm just gonna have to whittle it on like aesthetics. This one's better, this one's better, this one's better. But if your art is just egregiously bad, some people are some amateurs are just contributing because they want to contribute. They're welcome to too, and they know they'll probably be in the digital version. Who knows? Unless it's great, you know what I mean? We're thinking of making like little fake like insignias, like Earth 446. So everybody's been claiming numbers in the chat. It's a lot of fun. But I think I'm going to stop now because I think I'm at the risk of saying too much. So I'm surprised it's just been.
Would you guess what my number is, John?
What is your number going to be?
Well, my number, the typical number I use for my Indiegogo or for my campaigns is always 1, 2, 3, 4 for the 4 virtues, right? Remember?
Okay, so you're Earth 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we were joking that somebody needs to be the a spreadsheet with all the numbers because people have been claiming numbers. Because like Phil Diaz in the Lost Pages, he already assigned himself a number and it's part of his story. So, and then other people have grabbed numbers that mean something to them or they're part of this. I never thought about the designation of my Earth, but so it doesn't really. I'll take the last number. I'll take whatever's left over. I'll take some ridiculously 87-digit number just to be obnoxious. Will the digital version be an ebook or a PDF file? Good question. I'll have to talk with Aaron Sparrow because I don't know the difference, So we'll talk with Aaron. Has anybody claimed Earth 666? Not yet. I imagine somebody's going to have a devil world that'll be Earth 66. I want Earth 5280, a feet in a mile. Yep. It's funny. That's the first number I thought of, believe it or not, 5280. I want to just show this comic, Circus Maximus. It came out like a year ago, 5-issue series by Mad Cave Comics. This is outstanding. I don't want to give it away, but it's based on the Great Fire that Nero fiddled while Rome burned, and it just gives a great heist. It's a heist in Roman times during the Great Fire. Oh my God! This, I know a comic book is the highest form of media, but this should be a movie. This is awesome. by Mark Sable, Giorgio Pontrelli, Elma Lecce, and Dave Sharp. This is awesome. I highly recommend this. 5 issues. I'm sure there's a collected trade paperback of it. But that's my comic book recommendation of the week. I got to read issue 5. Watch, the ending is terrible. Have you read anything you want to talk about lately?
I haven't been keeping up on. I've actually returned to the, what is it, 195 to 210 of Conan the Barbarian, just because I want to go through the coloring one more time. While we're doing the coloring for Crom the Destroyer. Besides that, doing a lot of novel reading. I just started just about on your recommendation and Chuck Dickinson's recommendation. I pulled out my first 6 copies of Tarzan and about to read Tarzan #1.
Oh, which one, from Marvel?
No, the actual novel.
Oh, the novels. Oh, I read the first 2 and they were page turners. I couldn't put them down. They were so good. I got the 3rd one right here, but I'm in the middle of the shadow because I read so many comics. I keep forgetting to read the novel. I got the 3rd Tarzan right here. I got to read it. Everybody says it's good. I'm excited because it's so grounded on Earth, and I wonder just how is it going to be the center of the Earth and dinosaurs later on? It just seems like a weird disconnect. Have I read The Crow yet? No, I haven't read The Crow. It's funny. I only think about it when you remind me, and then I don't think about it. Ebooks are what they put up on Kindle and Amazon. Well, that's why I was floating the idea of going with Critical Blast. He's RJ2. This is RJ1 right now. RJ2 is Critical Blast, and RJ3 is RJ Williams. RJ2 from Critical Blast, he does printing. He'll get the hardcovers, and he could get it on Kindle and Amazon. So that's why I'm something of this magnitude. That's why I'm leaning towards going with him. Yeah. So you started Tarzan?
I just started. I wanted to read the introduction because it's a compilation, and they're talking about the difference between the 1969 they re-edited the entire first 5 books anyways in 1969 in order to take out the racism basically, and the N-word here and there, and I'm thinking I want to find out what the actual original versions say now, but that's where I started. I have the book. It's sitting on my table because I just finished The Big Sleep, which ended in a very unique way as compared to the movie.
It's all over Twitter now that the new owners of James Bond, they want to do a new take on James Bond. And all I got to say is, then don't do James Bond. We want James Bond to be James Bond. Like, I don't want a different. Oh, when I watch James Bond movie, I want to see, a brute smashing people in the face, hitting on chicks, drinking, smoking, and murdering fools. If I want a new take on that, then I'm not going to watch James Bond. I hate new takes. And did you see this guy's going around on YouTube with a poster of Superman, and he's going to American immigrants who are just as American as everybody else. Who is this? And they don't even know who Superman is.
I did not see that.
I think it's so funny. He's just like, who is this? They're like, I don't know. It's like, how do you not know who this is? Are you American? Yes, I'm American. And you don't know who this is? Maybe you're not American. This is Superman. I think that's just, it makes a great point. I'm up to Tarzan and the Jewels of Opar. Edgar Rice Burroughs Incorporated is the process of completely neutering all the old novels. Oh, really? Save us from, like, the guy who owns the Tolkien estate now. These people don't care. They just want the money. There's only a matter of time. The integrity. You get 4 or 5 generations later, they don't care about the integrity. They just want the money. I don't think the first few Tarzans say the N word. I think Negro. The 4th book does say the N word. The Swedes do, if I recall correctly. That's strange because Superman is low. No, yeah, I know. I thought everybody knew, but I don't know. Superman has waned in popularity recently. Yes, me. So I talked enough. What else you want to talk about?
I'm just wondering if they show them if. I think the Batman would actually be more recognizable than Superman at this point.
I agree. I think Batman's more popular right now. Just look at the phenomenons of those last Batman movies. Yeah, I think Batman's more popular. I would even argue that Spider-Man's probably more
Oh
popular
yeah,
than Superman right now.
which is weird because it's the way things go. But Spider-Man was originally written as a Marvel version of Superman.
Right. He's a response to Superman. Yeah, a reaction to Superman. Yep. I agree. Do you think like Wolverine is more popular than Superman now?
Oh no, I don't think so. No, he's very well. Let's say, yeah, no, I wouldn't say niche, but you know what I mean. It's yeah, people besides Americans wouldn't really know it. Maybe Japanese, and that's about it.
I had a partner at work. He was from a Dominican Republic, and he says that in the Dominican Republic, Wolverine was known as El Vibro, and I just thought that was cool. El Vibro, the Shaker. I guess that means like berserker or something. In slang or whatever.
I love the story that Hugh Jackman tells about when he came to audition for, or no, actually, he showed up, he got the part for Wolverine, and he was coming through customs from Australia, where he was living at the time. And he didn't know anything about the character really at all. He was coming through customs, and the guy asked him what he was doing here. He told him he's an actor, he's going to play a part. He said, okay, what part you're playing? He told him, I have this part to play this character called Wolverine in a movie. And the guy stopped him and said, you better play this part right, because he knew it, like the guy doing the intake, he knew exactly what Wolverine was. He's like,
Right.
you play this right or you're not allowed back in America, buddy.
Famke Jackson said she got into a cab and she was shooting. She was playing Jean Grey all day long. She gets into a cab and she's going home, and the guy's talking to her. It's like, oh yeah, you're in movies. Anything I know? She's like, well, I'm in the X-Men movie. Oh, who are you playing? Jean Grey. And she said the guy just went. He's like, what? He goes, no offense, but you're not Jean Grey. and he was a super fan, the guy. And she said it was just like, what do you want me to do? I'm already cast. We already started.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Frank Jensen's pretty good take on Jean Grey.
I think, like when she was in James Bond, she was beautiful. She was absolutely beautiful. But I think she was. I don't think she was miscast. I just think that movie was written poorly. For her. Okay, be right back. Marvel is Earth 666. That's one of the worst books. It's up there. Remember the Batman Metal comics? Oh yeah, Dark Metal. Is that what you're talking about? I remember them. I never read them. That was after I already quit DC. Do you want a 3-page short story or a 3-page comic? 3-page comic. 3-page comic. We'll make it a comic book. Yeah, so a 3-page comic for the Crisis on Independent Earths. You thinking of contributing? You heard about this? Titan Publishing and Edgar Rice Burroughs announced a massive multi-year partnership starting in 2027. The deal brings classic like Tarzan and John Carter of Mars. Also, so Titan is the comic book company or in our morally
the comic book company, yes.
In a morally gray society, an upbeat, patriotic, space-age Jesus character like Superman is seen as out of vogue. Yep, you're right. Yep, like Superman is like a savior figure. That's why, out of all the characters, Superman's allowed to be the Mary Sue. He's the exception. And I'm cool with it. But I do admit writing a Superman story is tough because of the power level. Somebody submitted a story for the Crisis on Independent Earths, and their pitch was that this is just Thursday to his character. He's so powerful, and that just threw up a red flag. His pitch was dull. And I was just like, this is not going to sell your book because your character. So he used another character, and it worked out good. Hugh Jackman's story at the airport is pre 9/11. The security was a lot nicer back then. Yeah, well. Yeah, he's also a Hollywood. Well, I guess he wasn't super famous at the beginning. Some people, there's a bit of confusion on the Tarzan timeline because it's not clear when Son of Tarzan takes place. Yeah, I'm not up to Son of Tarzan. But Conan should be good. The comic book oh, so cool. So there's going to be like comic novel accurate Tarzan and John Carter books. That'll be cool. It's after 1, 2, 3. it's a bunch of flashback stories from before Tarzan. It's called Jungle Tales of Tarzan. Okay. Speaking of, I checked it. Apparently, the first 3 Shadow novels are set for public domain. Oh, that's another thing. I don't want to have any public domain characters in this because I really don't want to do all this work, have a book, and then get a cease and desist letter.
Yeah, definitely. So, that's smart.
Yeah, so no public domain characters. You know what I mean? You're a comic book writer. Come up with a character. You know what I mean? But we're not going to have Zorro with a robot arm. You know what I mean? Because that's not fair. We do all this work, and because of your 3-page story, I mean, it's not going to be in the book. If you submit a public domain character, I'm rejecting it. You know, there's one public domain character, but it's absolutely clear this character is you know, nobody wants him. You can have Beowulf. You know, Beowulf's not. I mean, it's understood that's a mythological character. You can have Beowulf, but you know, we're not going to have Conan, Mickey Mouse. Submariner is public domain. We're not having Submariner, just because, you know, we're not going to fight a publishing company. You know, we're not going to have Peter Pan, as cool as that would be. But yeah, if you got Hercules or whatever, or Thor, legally distinct from Marvel. Would Femforce be allowed had he decided to join? Oh, Bill Black? I got to ask him. I didn't even think of that. I'll ask him.
Femforce does exclusively digital now, but he might, you know, break that habit for 3 pages.
I'll ask him. I didn't even think of that. I've asked a bunch of people, and you don't get what you don't ask for, you know? So, you know. I don't know. I'm glad
I should. I don't know. You're the last one to talk to Don. What about Don Chin? Does he have a character?
I asked him. I said, hey, you know, since you got the radioactive black belt hamsters, and he says he doesn't own them.
All right, right.
So I asked him about, you know, one of your other things like Beard Zerk or something like that. So he got all the information. He got my script, but he didn't say yes or no. So I would love for Don Chin to be in. He uses public domain heroes. Yes, he does. Progressives always favor new taxes, claiming that only the rich will pay them, yet they fail to consider. Progressives love taxes. They complain about the government, and then they magically also paradoxically think that the government's going to do the right thing. You know.
Did you notice recently that all these Democratic Socialists of America have changed to say billionaires? We need to tax the billionaires.
Yeah, they're all billionaires. Yeah.
They don't say millionaires anymore. I wonder why.
Hey, Tony, you weren't here at the beginning. Chuck is Airboy, Skywolf, and Valkyrie will be drawn by Joe Bennett as part of the Crisis on Independent Earths. Fun little story. So for all you Airboy completionists, you must purchase this. Yeah. Bill, what's his name? Bernie Sanders now says billionaires rather than millionaires. Dude. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What's his name? Perfect 10 he's gonna use Perfect 10 for. Is he in for?
Dave Brink put in the greatest script ever. Oh my God! You guys want this book for so many things, but if you've never read a genuine comic, you're going to be like, "What is this? Is what comic books are about?" And is Perfect 10 going to be in it? Yes. Every freaking character that Dave Brink has is going to be in it because he's a master at handling all of his characters. So it's a 4-page all over his world script. You know, it's great. You know, it's what superhero comics is supposed to be. I'm interested in contributing to the Crisis. Where can I learn more? So on my channel, John's Longbox, you're on the 4th age right now. If you go to John's Longbox, there's a video called Crisis on Independent Earths. It's a 2-hour video, but you know, just watch the first 30 minutes. It explains everything. And I made that video so I don't have to constantly explain myself, but I still am, and I'm willing to do it because I think it's fun. I've been up till 4 o'clock in the morning all week, literally talking to people on the phone. And the funny thing is, I don't get tired of it. It's fun. Like one guy was having a really tough time, We worked it out. We worked because I actively want you to participate. I'm not trying to kick. One guy refused to be in it because he had a really R-rated character, and I was like, if you could do it PG, because Ken Gleason is going to have the Mighty Mascots in this. That's a children's book. There's a couple of children's properties, so I don't care if you have a porno book, as long as these 3 pages are all ages. You know what I mean? Like if you want to lead people to your book, that's fine. You know what I mean? If your book is super violent and gory and cursing, like one guy just had F-bombs. I was like, let's keep what you do in your book is good, but this book is the commercial that you see on TV. You know, when you watch that R-rated movie, you don't see the nudity and hear the cursing on the commercial on TV. And he was like, okay, I get that. So yeah. So if you just follow the rules. The liberals like taxes because it takes money from Europeans and gives it to Browns. They also like taxes because it takes money from rich people. Yeah. And it gives it back to rich people. You know what I mean? The government steals it, money launders it, and gives it back to themselves. Hey, Brian Christow will be participating. And Brian also volunteered to be help out with editing. How's that? He needs to edit my mouth. I got to respond to this. I sent a frantic message to Renzo, and I don't want him to start work that he doesn't have to do. So I'm just going to mute myself for a minute. But Brian Christow does 6 Gun Gorilla. He's going to be participating. So I'm just going to turn off my.
All right, now John is gone. We can all, let's just say, discuss our true opinions of John's work and what his idea is actually going to come to. Anybody in the chat want to start? Let's see, Rex, Vaz, anybody? Honestly, I think this is a really good project that John came up with. John always comes up with the best ideas, but the fact that he's got so many people on board, and there are people clamoring to get on board with this project, and who knows how many people are again going to be in the actual book at the end of the day, because some people come in, some people go out, and some people can't actually finish even 5 pages, even if you give them how many months we got. So it's August, September, October, November. We got 5 months. So, hopefully everybody can come up with 3 to 5 pages finished work, and that's me included, within 5 months. But yes, very, very excited about this, what John is doing, especially because of the fact that he's already crossed the T's and dotted the I's about the fact that we don't want a giant compilation crossover book. There you are, John.
Right. I made it in a way that if people drop out, because I know when we got 35 creative teams, I'll say creative teams participating. That doesn't mean I have 35 different completed pages. I know that it's going to drop off. If we get 10 to 15 or so, it's still going to be a big book, and it's still going to be an amazing book. So I wrote the story so that if you participate or don't participate, it's not going to change the ending, but it's satisfying. I think Brian's one of the people that I know he read the beginning. I don't know if he read the ending yet, but and I made it so that it's not invasive to your world. I don't want to contaminate your world. And I know a lot of people don't want to have my characters in their world and their character. You know what I mean? So I made it so that everybody does stuff independently. Like, you know what I mean? And then they all work towards a common goal. And the people that are orchestrating it, for reasons of their own, they don't want to reveal themselves. And the way it works is if they get enough participants from enough universes, they could stop the threat. But if some universes don't participate, those universes may or may not get destroyed, depending upon how close they are to the threat. So think of it as I put out a call to all the ants in the ant hill. Some of the ants ignore me, and you know what I mean? They may get, you know what I mean? Like, so all the ants work together to swarm the wasp that's attacking, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So they're all individuals working together to fight the big bad. I'm purposely being vague because I don't want to reveal the ending to you, But yeah, it should be fun. and I'm appreciative for like Aaron and Brian lending their expertise to help it, because I honestly, the first person I presented it to was he said it was the stupidest idea and nobody will ever do it, and so I was like, oh well, I'll ask anyway. And now if Aaron and Brian weren't helping me out, it probably would be overwhelming. But everybody's being pretty cool. Everybody's being pretty cool. And like I said, we don't want any fighting, don't want any drama. The guys who hate me, they're welcome to join in too. All socials, yes, they absolutely do. So he just registered that Airboy's going to be in it. Okay. Yep. They could all use the magical Steam cloud. Thanks. I'll definitely check it out. Cool. Like to participate, but I have a complete original comic of my own. This could be an exercise to get a couple of pages out. You know what I mean? I just tell Johnny he's a good writer to hurt his feelings. The people at my dinner table say worse things to me than you could ever imagine. So, grew up in an Irish, Italian, Catholic family. We punch each other. John's work will amount to failure. That's my opinion. I'm giving it while he's gone. Hey, how you doing? You made Wasp the villain. How Irish Italian of you? Do you feel about the stories where telepathy is used as a way to communicate? It's fine if you have a telepathic villain. I mean, a telepathic hero. It's fine. It's no different than headsets and earpieces and stuff like that. But I think telepathy has more to it than just once you could start sharing thoughts. I don't think telepathy has been fully explored in comic books yet, how scary it would actually be. To me, it's like in Elseworlds. I think it's important that people focus on the quality of the overall book and try instead of just trying to get our characters to the spotlight. Well, everybody has their, like, one guy thinks he's telling a humorous story. I think it's pretty funny. Cyberfrog fighting, the Vespas. If he wants to participate, he's welcome to participate also. No, he doesn't own Darkwing Duck. He's using Doomface. Kneel before Doomface. Making a 3-page short story is a good way to get a habit of completing things. Absolutely. That's how men show affection. We bust each other's balls. Yeah. I originally said 3 pages because I figured people would be more likely, you know what I mean? When you're begging and you ask somebody for a quarter, you're more likely to get a quarter than asking for $7. So I just said 3 pages because I figured that's really the minimum to have a beginning, middle, end. And everybody overwhelmingly said, I want to do more. I want to do more. I want to do more. So people have more. I wrote mine in 3 pages because one guy was like, you can't do this in 3 pages. It's impossible. And I didn't want to say, well, then you're a bad writer. But so I wrote mine in 3 pages just to show you can do it in 3 pages. But then again, I wrote the overall story, so maybe I had a better insight than others. A whole lot of hola. How you doing, Wrangler? It's just when you think about the Anglo-Saxon, the enemy, the bitter, and the downtrodden. RJ, what are your thoughts on Jean Grey being the villain in the latest Spider-Man film? I didn't know that. You just spoiled it for me, Tony. Did you see the Spider-Man movie?
I did not see the Spider-Man movie. I hear that's a giant product placement vehicle, but people who ignore that and just watch the superhero side of it do say that it's fairly good. But this movie apparently has more has made more on product placement than any movie ever in history. So there's that. But still, I know that Jean Grey was the villain in it. You can make Jean Grey a villain and still actually do homage to the character. Let's put it that way, because Dark Phoenix and all, she's can be used as a villain at times. So like I said, I never saw the movie, but it doesn't break the character.
Yeah, I want to see it because I was like, I'll wait. Everybody's been telling me it's good, so I'll see it. I'll see it. Maybe not this weekend. This weekend I will be at Tropicon, my first comic book convention. So I actually cleaned up the basement because Vaughn will be staying here for the weekend, and maybe we'll stream together or whatever. I'm gonna do my first comic convention, and I gotta bag and board all my extra copies of my comic, sell them. I'm nervous and excited, doing something new, Telepathy is interesting as a means of communication, but one must yes. That's That's what I'm getting at. Wow, a lot of comments, everybody. The new Spider-Man movie did touch on how scary telepathy can be with the villain using people as meat puppets. Now, I didn't see the movie yet, but telepathy and mind control are two different powers. So it depends on how telepathy is implemented. Yep. Does each story has to know how the previous one? No. Each story is its own thing. I give you, if you want to participate, I'll send you, watch the video. It pretty much outlines everything, and then I'll send you a 6-page script, and then the 6-page at the bottom has all the rules, and then you send me your pitch. Odds are it's your first one's going to get rejected, and then I tell you how to make it fit in line with the story, overall story. You know what I mean? I don't want to say it over the air, but I basically say start backwards. That's mind control possession is different than telepathy. Attack of the Savage Wasp, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. Total. I've been seeing a lot of people, RJ. I've been saying this with my wife because I grew up Roman Catholic. I was an altar boy. I like when I go back to church, I want to go to a Latin mass. I want to go back to 1957. And my wife goes to a non-denominational. And I'm of the opinion it's like with all this Islamic intrusions, it's like all the Christians got to stop with the you're Protestant, you're Catholic, you're Greek. It's like we all just got to be like, dude, we'll worry about that later. You kneel at this point. You believe in the transubstantiation in the belly. Okay. Those are differences. We'll talk about those later. But we got to stop these Baphomet worshiping Mohammedans from coming into our world and changing everything. What do you think about that?
That's definitely a good thought, but whether or not you get people to participate in it is another question. With whether or not people in their own Christianity way want more destruction than not, because again, this is what I was talking about earlier. Is like I think liberalism itself is going to be. I'll probably do an entire video on this. I think that in 500 years they're going to look at liberalism just like we look at Arianism right now, where the majority of people in the church or Christians actually believed Arianism before it was declared a heresy.
Arius, the heretic.
Yes. So I think that's what liberalism is going to be viewed as in 500 years from now, is that, people didn't even know that they were following this heresy of liberalism, because that's all it really is. It's just it's a Christian heresy that takes it takes the focus off of love and puts it onto forgiveness, because the center of God is not forgiveness, no matter what people say. It is love, because at the end of the world, when everything is purified and we go back to the new heaven and the new earth, there's no need for forgiveness anymore. So
it's funny that you said Arius, because he's a character in one of my comics, the Origin of Santa Claus, coming up. Because that story of Saint Nicholas punching Arius at the Council of Nicaea, you got to put that in.
Definitely.
That's the coolest story about Saint Nicholas. Santa Claus punching a guy for being a heretic in the middle of a council of bishops. That's going in a comic book, ladies and gentlemen. What Incubus said. Would it be possible for the caper to make a small appearance? If you want to, then that's on you. You know what I mean? Because are you going to hire an artist to draw it? I mean, first send me the script of the caper. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, I came up with a character called the Caper, and it's inspired by pulp heroes and stuff like that. But I thought it was a unique spin, and then I said, you know what? Let Tony Grigo write this. He read all the pulp books, so he wrote this for me, a comic book script. I didn't read it yet, but it's possible for anything to be in it. But here's the thing. Everybody's paying for their own. I know this is my character, but I'm laying out a lot. So if you want to participate and you want to hire an artist and do it, and I ain't going to say no, but but that's another 3-page script. Trying to stop brother wars is very hard. Just look at the French and British getting Redskins to join them in the. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to unify all the independent comic books. You know what I mean? First, I unify all the indie comic book people. Then we'll unify all the Christians. All right, one step at a time. even though the great. Yep, absolutely. What are your thoughts on the writings of Saint Dionysius?
If I remember correctly, I don't know what I don't know off the top of my head the writings of Saint Dionysius, because what I'm thinking of is no, there's a Gnostic gospel, but I can't remember what Saint Dionysius did, so I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know Saint Dionysius either. I just know the Greek god Dionysius. He's a bad guy. Like the Ostrogoths and the Visigoths back in the 5th century, ideologies tend to focus too much on isolated individual or the public collective, ignoring the three states family. That's a lot for me. Ideologies tend to focus too much on the isolated. Well, the problem with ideologies is they become groupthink after a while, and then, I mean, I would bet everything that if you really cornered a progressive, they know that transgender people aren't women. They know that, but they are terrified to admit it because everything falls apart. You know what I mean? They also know that not all cultures are equal. You can get them to admit it. If you really, really pressure these, it falls apart. But it's a belief. It's an ideology, and it's groupthink, and that's why I think the smartest people in the world are the people just like, yeah, I don't know enough about that to talk about that. Yeah, that's something to think about. Changing one's mind is not a bad. If faced, because my wife because I always say I don't believe in ghosts, I don't believe in space aliens and stuff like that. And she goes, but what if there's space aliens? Oh, I said, well, if I'm given absolute proof in front of me, then I'm the moron who doesn't believe it. You know what I mean? If you give me absolute proof, but that's. But these progressives, they know, they.
All right. I don't know if John is frozen or if I am frozen. So someone in the chat, if you can tell me if it is me, that would be very helpful. If it is John, I will. Well, actually, if it is me, I will disappear fairly quickly. But it might be John. I still don't have anybody in the chat. So, oh, there we go.
Am I back? See,
yeah, you're back.
I started talking about transgenders and YouTube censored me. Yep. But yeah, you were fine. I could hear you the whole time. The chat says that I was frozen, not you.
Somebody has a button, John. You got that? They got their hand on the button.
Yeah.
Every time it's like, oh, John's talking about it again. Hit the button.
The FBI agents who's watching me just hit that button. All right, yeah, I got it. We'll change the subject. We'll talk about my thing hands that my wife sent me. There you go. It's clobbering time hands. So, here you go. There you go. That's what we'll talk about. That won't get the sensors going. So, I'm sorry, you were talking, and then I came back and you stopped talking.
No. I was just I didn't know if it was me or you because I got thunderstorms going on here too. So it might have been me.
Today was actually really nice. Yesterday in New York, I just told my wife I don't want to go outside. The atmosphere was wrong. I was like, it looks like something bad is about to happen. Like the worst storm in the world. If anybody lived in the southern New York area, New Jersey, you probably saw what I was talking about. But today was beautiful out. The thing about absolute proof, what you try to reason your way into, a lot of people do that. I like to think of the Greek Dionysus as a fat. Well, that's the Roman. The Greek Dionysus was like a good-looking, seductive man, and the Romans turned him into Bacchus, who was just like a fat wino. The Greek one was very violent and very nasty. So you kind of got it backwards. The Greek Dionysus was nasty, short-tempered, transgender, Sound familiar? Oh, I'm gonna get kicked off the,
Yes, it had followers who were women who tore off their clothes and went insane and were man hating and tore them to pieces.
yeah,
There you go.
the main ads. Yep. Getting a liberal to sit. Yeah, Mike Barron always says whatever serves the vicious child at that particular moment. They'll contradict themselves. Because do you remember 5-6 years ago, the left was like, you don't like Jews. You don't like Jews. Now the left is pro-Palestine and hates the Jews. Like, how did that happen so fast? I've never seen a group just flip so fast than on the, pro, and these people, how do they reckon? They talk about the Handmaid's Tale, and then they're embracing Islam. And what's her name? Outweather, is that her name? Who wrote the book? She came up with the Handmaid's Tale, traveling through the Middle East. I keep trying to read it. I have it. I bought it all on eBay, a complete stack of them, and I start reading it, and I just get bored, and I put it back. That comic, I think I've tried to read it more than any other comic.
Is that Dark Horse?
I think it is Dark Horse. I don't know. Every once in a while, I try it again. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be good, and I give it the old college try and never read it. And I know Tony's gonna get upset. I feel the same way about Cerebus. Like, I made it to about issue 67, and I'm just like, I'll get back to it, and I'm in no hurry to get back.
I always felt that about Cerebus when, like, in the 80s and the 90s, I would pick it up and I was like, this is going to be good, and I'd buy an issue and it's like, yeah, I'm not buying this again. I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, the Democratic Party is riddled with, just look at that. What's her name? Hung. She was winning, and then at the last minute, there was a dump for somebody who wasn't even in the running anymore, and that person won. Come on. Because the Democrats knew that if she was even too crazy for the Democrats. It's we talk about banana republic, stuff like that. What's the difference? What is the difference right now? We need paper ballots. No more missing thumb drives. We're a joke. We're an absolute joke. And that's why when all of these British people say they're going to vote for they're going to vote. What is it now? Reform is the new one. It's like, doesn't matter. You think the British government's going to relinquish power? They're not going to let these people come in and sweep the whole thing and change it. They're not going to let it. Germany, they arrested all the right wing guys. They're not going to let it. The Democrats, like, didn't Obama? Was it Obama or who? Or Hillary Clinton? Yeah, it was Obama became the candidate because what's his name? Al Franken got the electoral votes and was supposed to give them to Hillary Clinton, and he gave to the other person and then they tossed him out when he was no longer. If the Republicans did the shady things that the Democrats did, everybody would be talking about it. But they do whatever they want in full light of day, and nobody cares. You got to give the Democrats credit. You get installed as a judge, and then you overrule it, everything, and the whole country has to listen to you, while the Republicans don't do crap. I wish the Republicans were, this God Emperor tyrants that the left thinks they are. Yep, I agree. She used to be a bit of a contrarian, but his mind, yeah, I know. Now she's got to go along with the gravy train. Being pro-Jew sometimes was a way to destroy the West. Now being anti-Jew sometimes, like Mike Barron says, whatever serves the vicious child at this particular moment. She wasn't too crazy for the Democrats. She was too honest for the Democrats. Oh, geez. Have I ever crossed paths with? No, never met her. Don't want to meet her. What I think is funny is she froze her eggs and then dumped her boyfriend. If I found out that my wife was freezing her eggs for later, I'd be like, what are you saving them for somebody better? Because that's what he must have said. He was like, what are you saving them for somebody better? I'm out of here. Yep. IDs, paper ballots, oversight, chain of custody. Absolutely. The anti-Israel attitude says two things about: one, hypocrites who don't care about it; two, racists. Yeah. The chick was a communist Chinese government agent. Yeah. Yep. just like Andrew Yang. Yep, yep. Like I said, I'm just amused with how blatant the cheating was, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. You know, just like the dump for Biden votes, that was obviously cheating. AC sold out faster than PlayStation 4. She was a plant from the beginning. She doesn't have any ideas of her own. What ideas does she literally just goes along with whatever's the most popular thing to say at that particular moment. Just like Hillary Clinton. That's why she's dangerous, because she's a good-looking Hillary Clinton. So I talk. Sometimes I just feel like I talk too much, RJ, and I don't give you a chance to talk.
No. I enjoy listening to what you have to say, John. Especially as a New Yorker. You give your take as a New Yorker. There you go.
So I know. Stop me if I'm revealing too much information, but you were asking me about electrical stuff for a new character. Is that it?
Well, yeah. I was thinking of well, there's a development within the characters that I already have that I wanted to put in, but as this when I was writing my 5 pages, and I'm going to keep that character and I'm going to put him on the shelf because I wanted to put 3 characters that are characters that have been seen before in my books. So I don't want to introduce any new characters in these 5 pages, right?
Yeah, I think it's best if you have existing characters to showcase your existing characters.
Because I was just thinking, it would, because believe it or not, people, John and I think very much the same way. And I already have a version of John's Crises on Independent Earth for my own universe. And it is something that I came up with almost right after Thomas Valiant. So this will play right into that storyline if I ever get to tell it.
Oh, cool. Because I don't know if anybody here has read Tonic Ball's comic. Issue 8 was people jumping around, and it was different artists working together, and sometimes even on the same page. And he said it was a logistical nightmare. But so I was like, I want to do something like that, and that is the germ seed of the inspiration for this project. But I learned from that. I want to have, RJ does all of his stuff, Brian Christow does all of his stuff, because if anybody pulls out, then and again, I'm not trying to cause drama or anything. I'm just stating fact. There was the CG Unity project, and then they started fighting. And every time anybody pulled out or changed something, Mike Barrett had to rewrite the script. And then because of that, art had to be changed. And now I think it's on indefinite hiatus. And again, I'm not saying that to make fun of or anything. I'm just trying to illustrate how I saw that. And because of that, I responded this way, so that if Brian Christow says, oh man, things came up and I can't participate, nothing has to be rewritten and no art has to be changed. And then people get back, well, then how does the story? Well, you'll see. It makes sense. So, you know what I mean? I believe it or not, I do learn from other people's mistakes. I do have my eyes and ears out. And not to throw Tonic Ball under the bus, because he succeeded in doing something really difficult. He put out an issue because if you remember, Image United was going to do that, and they were going to have like Rob Liefeld draw Shaft and Todd McFarlane draw Spawn all on the same pages. You know what I mean? So I guess they were going to have thumbnails or whatever, and that fell apart. I don't even know how many issues came out, and it's been 20 years. That ain't going to get finished. So I don't want, like, as cool as that would be, it's not feasible. It's that would have to be a really small team, where everybody's 100% on the same page. So I'm talking about I was talking about Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to be at Tropicon in Long Island. Anybody live around there? Come on down. See me at my first convention. What about you, RJ? You thinking of ever doing a convention, getting out of that tree house that you live in?
Yes, I'm thinking about it, John. Actually, I was wondering how close Tropicon was, because I thought to myself, I need to get out a little bit more and possibly just go to one of these conventions just to take in some the way that people do things, and maybe a couple of, I don't know what they do for their panels and stuff like that. But I'm sure it would do me some good.
Yeah, if for now, now who knows? Maybe I'll get the con bug, and I'll do more. And if I ever do, I'll always extend you an invitation. You can always crash here, and you know what I mean, and come here. I live right by MacArthur Airport. You can fly out here, and then we go to the convention together. I'll take you to my favorite diner.
You know what I'm just thinking, John? Okay. So if anybody knows John's books, he has a little sort of Calvin and Hobbes things where he has RJ and me's, which is John and RJ. So I am a Yeti type character. So if my character was to come and visit you, John, and stay overnight, he would just be sleeping on a giant pile of comics.
No, you get a wrinkle.
Make a nest out of them.
Yeah, I have RJ and me. It's kind of like aping Calvin and Hobbes, and it's funny because I couldn't think of it. My wife, that's my wife's favorite part of the comic, and I know what the gag is going to be for Heroic Tales 3. RJ and me will return, and the other I want to do like a Far Side type, just like a one square, and that's it. And it's going to be called The Secret Ninja, and he's not going to be in it. So that's the joke. He's so good you never see him. But that's the gag. But I can't think of like more than one gag. The Secret Ninja. But
that's the dad joke. Everybody knows this dad joke, right? You know the dad joke, John.
Which one?
Why do you never see cows hiding in trees?
Why do I never see cows hiding? I don't know why.
Because they're so good at it.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Because they're good at it. Yeah. Yeah. So RJ and me will return in Heroic Tales 3, not the Patriarch, in Heroic Tales 3. And I got a gag that, and I was like, oh man, I can't think of one. And then I thought of one, and I was just laughing thinking about it. How do you define a bad joke? I used to just call them bad jokes. I call them bad jokes. Now they're dad jokes. I don't know where it came from, but that's it. But I wanted to do a stand-up comedy routine where I just told the worst jokes in the world, just to see if I could get people to laugh. Because any comedian can tell good jokes. Like that was my challenge. I'm gonna get up on stage and tell the worst jokes in the world and see if I could. And then I saw some guy. He's on YouTube. He just told bad jokes, but he was so good at it, people were laughing.
Rex, I would say when your audience moans more than laughs, that's the dad joke.
Yeah, yes, the joke your father tells to the kids. My father told dirty jokes. You don't want to hear my dad's jokes. Just to make sure that every Earth is unique and individual. They may be alternate universes, but they're not similar. Right. They're independent Earth. So I reached out to Eric July. Eric July said, I don't do crossovers. And I responded, it's not a crossover, but yeah. So he doesn't want to participate. I reached out to another guy and he says, I don't do multiverses. You know what I mean? But like, unless you want to read the pitch and everything like that, you're going to think this is a multiverse crossover. But it's not. It's not a multiverse. It's not a crossover. But I respect the people, they don't want to contaminate their universes. That's fine. Because they're against this elite. Yeah. Look at the now they want to get rid of the police cameras, right? I've always said police who fought against cameras, I said, you're going to get justified. I think school teachers should have cameras in their classrooms. You know what I mean?
I'm just wondering. I'm waiting for the day when, if it comes down to this, because if they start using facial recognition, for people to have doors on their businesses wherein they don't let people in that are known felons, or things like that, and we'll see how many people complain about that, because a certain amount of people don't get through the door to buy stuff. Because you do AI, you do facial recognition. Imagine how many people would just be rejected from coming into your store to begin with.
Well,
I'm sure they'd be up in arms on that.
I got two things to say about AI. First, I think if AI is going to be implemented and like data retrieval, stuff like that, it's going to get rejected just because it's not going to be politically correct. You know what I mean? You're going to tell the AI to ignore racial characters, you know what I mean? Characteristics and, economic factors, stuff like that. No, I guess you can skew it towards the cis white man, but then, whatever. And the other thing is I've been wanting to tweet this for so long and I always stop. But I'm like, all you artists who don't want to see AI because it swipes your art, I understand that. And then they go ahead and they post their Jim Lee ripoff art. You know what I mean? It's like you swipe, everybody's swiping somebody else's art. Not that I'm for AI, but just be self-aware that you're copying Naruto or Dragon Ball Z or Jim Lee. You know what I mean? Nobody exists in a vacuum. So there were these two lunatics that were escaping the insane asylum. That's why they need Greenland, so that AI can have pattern recognition without being racist. I don't understand that. I whatever happened, I'm so for Trump buying Iceland. It always bothered me that they had this European power with this giant landmass right next to us. Like, no, you're the old world. Stay in the old world. You can have Iceland, but not Greenland. I got nothing else to say. I'm stuttering now. We've been talking for an hour and a half. Is there anything you want to say, or do you want to wrap it up?
No, I think we should wrap it up, John. I think that was good. Actually, it was a good time just to talk about Crisis on Independent Earths with a couple of breaks here and there.
And we got a bunch of people watching, so check it out. I still have the Christmas, the Heroic Tales Christmas special. For those of you on RJ's channel, you could pick up my Christmas special on Kickstarter right now. I have 27 more days to go, but as I showed you, I already got the proof copy, and now Phil Diaz is printing it, but he's doing a convention over the weekend, so I hope to get my copy of the proof, and then once I give him thumbs up, 2 weeks? 2 weeks, we'll start printing, and you can get that right here. So the comic book will be in my hand before the campaign even closes. If you go to Fund My Comic, which is, or RJ's comic also is, you guys ship first. Fund My Comic always gets the preferential treatment. Why? Because Kickstarter, I don't collect the money until 27 more days. Fund My Comic, I already got the money. So, you know what I mean? And then, of course, we got RJ's comic over here, Crom the Destroyer. He's nearly complete. I guess RJ could sell his own stuff. You want to talk about Crom the Destroyer?
Well, yes, we have Inker is on page 59 of 72 pages. So we're pencils are done, everyone. That was the big hurdle to get over, to get the pencils done, because it took us so long, just because of our artist mishaps, let's say. But the thinking is almost done. I was just telling someone on Twitter today, coloring has certainly begun, and after that, all we have left is the lettering and going to print.
Yeah, lettering is, you get it, like Bill will letter my comic in one day, and then we just check for typos and if there's better placement. So lettering is really quick. Do you do lettering last?
Yeah, I do lettering last, just because, hey, my artists and colorists say, I don't care if you do the lettering first, I'll just go underneath it, or just put that, or not do that part of it. But usually I like to leave the lettering to last, because it gives you more of an idea of where to put things in the panel.
Yep. Excited for Prom? Cool. I can't wait. And I've seen so many pages. It looks great. Yep. And nice chatting with you. Take care, everybody. So at that, we will say goodbye, kids.
See y'all later.
See ya. Bye-bye.